North of Payson, Arizona lies Ellison Creek. On July 15, 2017, many people were in the surrounding area enjoying a day of relaxation and sunshine. However, things quickly took a turn for the worst. At 1:19 p.m., rain began to come down over the area. By 1:52, it was estimated that various points had between 0.5 and 1.5 inches of rain. Light rain continued throughout the afternoon until 3:30, when the first flash flood report came out around the junction of the East Verde River and Ellison Creek. For various campers, it was quite the sight to behold. One group all took out their phones and began to record the rushing water in the distance. At first, you can barely see it, so make sure to look carefully in the background.
It's coming right at us.
Oh, stop. We'll probably get out.
Shush.
Like 8
Oh,
mothers.
it's coming on us, man.
Well, listen to him.
Holy cow.
It isn't long until the river has grown substantially in width, and before you know it, an entire river has formed, carrying tree branches and other pieces of debris down the creek.
Oh, crap. Oh, it's under the tree.
In a matter of minutes, the river completely overtakes the area, even taking over some of the land where the campers were just standing minutes earlier.
Oh, I took a picture of that tree down there. Because I was out there when I took a picture.
While everyone has a good laugh throughout the video, not everyone in the area was as fortunate. Sadly, 10 people lost their lives due to the flooding. A family of 14 had just crossed the East Verde River and were making their way between two thin streaks in Ellison Creek. Out of nowhere, the 5-foot-high wave rushed the family. 10 of them lost their lives that day. When it comes to natural disasters, you'll just be standing there, minding your own business. Then, things go from 0 to 100 faster than you have time to process. You can see this phenomenon for yourself in this terrible landslide that occurred in the mountains of Dagestan. Check out the first 10 seconds, and you'll notice you really have to look before you realize the land underneath the car and people is moving. Unfortunately for the people standing right there, the land quickly decides that the car belongs to it. The car begins to move with the soil as it exponentially increases in speed down the mountain. Fortunately, the landslide dissipates as quickly as it was formed. While it rushed down the mountain at an impressive speed for a few seconds, it quickly crawls to a halt. With the landslide losing momentum, the guys on the mountain determine it's safe to head back to the car, which hopefully hasn't taken on too much damage. While this particular landslide wasn't too bad, they are known to occur somewhat frequently in the area. A year after this landslide occurred, a different one damaged 5 houses and disrupted water supply to a nearby village. What would you do if you went out to work one day, came back in the afternoon, and your house was missing? Something similar happened to residents of a small village in northern Brazil in January of 2014, when a massive sinkhole developed underneath their feet. CCTV cameras around the city of Abaetetuba captured the event unfold. The sinkhole began on one side of the street, immediately swallowing the building directly overhead.
Câmeras de segurança divulgadas hoje mostram o exato momento em que a terra cedeu.
Unfortunately, the sinkhole continued to grow, spreading across the street and taking a rather large building into the earth with it. People gather to look at the destruction, but there's nothing they can do other than to look on in horror. Their homes and livelihoods gone in an instant. Fortunately, no lives were lost. Before the sinkhole fully formed, people noticed that the electrical wires overhead were beginning to break and snap. This is precisely the kind of warning sign people needed to pay attention to, as they knew disaster was imminent. Out of the 78,000 people who lived in that city, only 300 were displaced. Selma Costa, one of the town's residents, was quoted as saying, "A hole just opened up and sliced across the street, engulfing all of the houses around. Nobody can believe what happened. Houses were simply swallowed by the hole. Even the supermarket and an office went into the hole." Environmental experts later went to the area to assess the damage. They determined the tragedy was a result of houses being built too close to a nearby river. Environmentalists also said that by removing natural vegetation from the area to construct buildings negatively affects the soil's rate of absorption. It makes it far more likely that sinkholes will form, and in this case, one did. Authorities warned those in the town that if the river was allowed to continue swelling, then the town can expect even more damage in the future. In the immediate aftermath of the sinkhole, impacted families either went to live with relatives or had to be put up in a local gymnasium. Hopefully, the town heeded the warning and took measures to decrease the chances of something like this happening again. The earthquake that struck Japan and other nearby countries in 2011 is one of the deadliest, most destructive natural disasters to occur in recent memory. It rocked the world, and the events that transpired that day have been covered extensively on our channel. To give you an idea of just how powerful this earthquake was, it was strong enough to shift the planet on its axis of rotation through the redistribution of mass. It was also so strong that it shortened the day by a microsecond. And just when you think you've read everything imaginable about the catastrophe, more videos come up. In January of 2020, the channel ANN News CH uploaded a video from a different angle of the earthquake. The video is from the perspective of someone waiting in an airport. Out of nowhere, the pictures on the wall begin to shake. The camera turns to look elsewhere in the airport, and when it returns to its initial vantage point, the pictures are completely skewed. Eventually, the earthquake becomes so strong that it knocks the camera person off the table and onto the floor. The camera person soon makes their way outside, where everyone inside is gathered. People are standing in the middle of the street, away from any structures that could potentially fall. However, just when you think the horrors are over, think again. The person returns back inside and films everything transpiring outside the window. It's not long until a rush of raging water flows through the area. The water is from the devastating tsunami that wrecked the region in the aftermath of the earthquake. It only takes a minute for it to completely engulf the outside of the airport, dragging along pieces of debris and vehicles with it. By the time the video ends, you would just assume the person was overlooking the ocean. Rushing water has completely enveloped the area, but fortunately, the camera person is safely inside. It was an event that rocked the entire planet. While many people lost their lives, this person was fortunate enough to be somewhere safe. We're betting they certainly counted their blessings that day. So, this photo has an interesting history. When it first emerged in June of 2008, it was circulated online with the description that it was responsible for the deaths of 4 Eagle Scouts in Iowa. After careful research, it appears that while the photo is in fact real, the description is taken a bit out of context. For example, we found various other descriptions for this photo, with one saying that it actually occurred in 2010 in Yazoo City, Mississippi. In actuality, this tornado was classified as a mesocyclone. It formed well before the tornado that ultimately took the lives of those Boy Scouts. The picture was snapped earlier in the week when a series of tornadoes, heavy rains, and storms struck the Midwest. For more insight into this mesocyclone, we can look at this video taken of the night in question. It all begins when the power goes out, which doesn't seem to faze this pup. Later in the video, the camera person hits the road to do a little storm chasing. When really focusing on the road, you realize that it's hail hitting the car and not just rain. He continues driving in the pouring hail until he finally gets what he's been looking for, the mesocyclone. It looks like something out of an apocalypse movie, with the ominous way the black clouds circle in the sky, forming a cyclone making its way to the ground. It's an impressive, albeit scary, sight to behold. While there was some confusion online about the true source and story behind the viral photo, it all adds up to one thing. This was a massive mesocyclone with a wall cloud instead of a true tornado. One thing is certain, it doesn't matter what you call this type of event, you just need to get out of the way. There are all kinds of natural disasters that can upend your life. Landslides, sinkholes, earthquakes, and so much more. Be careful out there. And if your town gets a warning that a disaster is on its way, then you better take it seriously. Let us know what videos you want us to cover next in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in next time.